Inside the shadowy confines of America's most secure prisons, some of the nation's most feared gang members operate with ruthless precision. These men aren't just inmates, they're shot callers, enforcers, and masterminds behind brutal orders that echo beyond prison walls. From deadly racial alliances to blood-soaked power struggles, their influence reaches into streets, cities, and entire states. In this documentary, we dive into the lives of the most dangerous gang members behind bars, individuals whose reputations were forged in violence and whose legacies are written in blood. This is the dark underworld of America's most violent prison gang leaders. Number 5. Howard "Hamo" Smith, the reputed godfather of Brooklyn's Brick Squad gang. Brooklyn, a mosaic of playgrounds and pavement where neighborhood pride runs deep, and so does the turbulence beneath its streets. In the shadows of Bed-Stuy and Brownsville, a name echoed like a whispered warning: Howard "Hamo" Smith, the so-called godfather of the Brick Squad gang. Smith didn't build his power on flashy streets. His dominion arose from behind prison walls. It was here, incarcerated alongside hardened criminals, that he became the puppet master of a violent conspiracy, guiding the gang from behind bars. Between 2017 and 2019, prosecutors allege Brick Squad operated with chilling efficiency. 2 cold-blooded murders, 7 shootings, narcotics trafficked from Brooklyn all the way to Bangor, Maine, all under the watchful eye and voice of Smith. A December night in 2017, a fellow gang member, John Fernandez, shot dead in Ocean Hill under mistaken suspicion of being a rat. Then, April 2018 in Bed-Stuy, Claudel Gary gunned down in a feud's bloody climax. Both murders were orchestrated in part from prison via phone calls. Smith's influence stretched across steel and concrete. But power demands resources, and this is where Smith's notoriety grew. Prosecutors revealed that in September 2019, he boasted more than $25,000 in his prison commissary account. A staggering amount, proof of income flowing directly from illicit enterprise outside prison: heroin, often laced with fentanyl, crack, marijuana, even burglaries. Transactions funneled through younger free world associates, bolting Smith deeper into control. Yet for all his hardened reputation, Smith's reign wasn't bulletproof. On December 20th, 2019, a coordinated strike by the Brooklyn DA's office and NYPD brought his world crumbling down. Brick Squad, a tightly wound cog in the larger untouchable Gorilla Stone Nation, had been under surveillance for 2 years. 10 members indicted: racketeering, conspiracy, narcotics, murder. Among them, Smith, nicknamed Hamo the Godfather, stood charged with conspiracy, directing violence, and orchestrating the drug network. In a stark courtroom on Brooklyn Supreme, Smith pleaded guilty to 4th-degree conspiracy. The sentence was far less dramatic than his legend, just 2 to 4 years behind bars. But prosecutors argued the sentence only scratched the surface of a far deeper criminal empire. So who was he really? A commandant of steel-barred kingdoms, a man whose voice shaped life and death, a mentor or tyrant to those who craved power. Brick Squad's constitution, their coded oaths, their discipline, it all bore the fingerprints of Howard Smith. Yet the world he helped build, built on violence and addiction, rightly drew a reckoning. His case exemplified how modern gangs exploit prison's echo chambers, using petty miscreants and new recruits to funnel violence and profit across state lines. His legacy remains tangled, a warning of power misused, a case study in crime's corrosive grip. The money in his commissary account, his empire's visible crown, paid for cigarettes, canteen goods, and perhaps a measure of respect from those behind bars. But it couldn't buy freedom or redemption. In the end, Howard "Hamo" Smith is more than a headline. He is a symbol of ambition twisted, of communal harm rooted in systemic failure and of law enforcement's ongoing battle against underground empires. And as Brooklyn's streets continue to breathe and bustle, the story is far from over, but the echoes of his reign remain etched in concrete, court transcripts, and cautionary memory. Number 4. The life and rise of Omari Uno Rosero, a core leader in the Nine Trey Gangsters and acting godfather of the United Blood Nation. New York's prison walls have long echoed with the rise of gang empires. Few embody that darker ascent as starkly as Omari Rosero, known on the streets and behind bars as Uno B. Born in Elmira, New York, Rosero's journey began deep within the ruthless world of Blood's prison factions, where loyalty and power collide behind steel doors. Rosero first climbed the ranks after affiliating with the Nine Trey Gangsters, a violent prison-born sect of the United Blood Nation, UBN. What began as an entry-level scrap role quickly evolved. Prosecutors confirm a strict hierarchy. Scrap, ascending through 1-star general, 5-star general, low, high, and ultimately to Godfather. Rosero didn't stop there. Through ambition and indisputably cold strategy, he rose to high-ranking and even acting godfather of the entire UBN, wielding influence across East Coast jails, even from his cell. By March 2018, federal indictments in Charlotte, North Carolina, exposed Rosero's vast network. Surrounded by 35 other Nine Trey rank-and-file bosses, he pleaded guilty to racketeering conspiracy, admitting to his commanding rank and criminal enterprise conducted behind bars. Prosecutors revealed that cell block conversations and contraband channels enabled Rosero and his cage mates to coordinate drug trafficking, extortion, wire fraud, and even violence, from heroin and cocaine distribution to threatening suspected informants. One chilling recorded jail call even captured Rosero, saying that he and the other two leaders, Pedro Magu Gutierrez and James Frank White Baxton, were the last ones that God put in power over UBN. So who stood alongside Rosero in this triad of terror? Pedro Magu Gutierrez, a fellow godfather and UBN chairman, and James Frank White Baxton, a worldwide high who trafficked heroin from prison walls. Together, they formed a synchronized leadership network. While incarcerated in New York, they met with underlings who visited or passed messages. They imposed dues, monthly payments of $31 or $93, from illicit activities like drugs, robbery, wire, and bank fraud, funds collected across cells and concrete yards. Flash forward, Rosero and co-defendant Portia, Lady Uno B. Rosero, allegedly his wife, were indicted in the same conspiracy. She allegedly carried messages via Facebook and took part in calls where Rosero threatened suspected informants would be faded straight up. In July 2018, sentences were handed down. Rosero received 87 months in federal prison to begin after finishing his New York State term. Portia was given 21 months. Multiple other high and low rank members were sentenced across the East Coast, bolstering the operation's dismantling. Rosero's reign offers a chilling blueprint: prison as a staging ground, not a deterrent. Through coded tattoos, dog paw, 5-point stars, MOB, and rigorous rules like the 31, the UBN built an empire, maintaining discipline and expanding outside. Yet justice caught up. Operation 9, Connect and other federal crackdowns dismantled much of the Nine Trey power base. Still, the effects ripple, communities fractured, families shattered, and prisons harboring deep-rooted cartel structures. Omari Uno Rosero's story is more than criminal biography. It's a testament to the enduring, adaptive menace of prison-born gangs. His ascent, execution, and incarceration spotlight a system where cell blocks become boardrooms of violence, money, and control. The sentence may be fixed, but lessons remain unresolved. UBN leaders like Rosero used bars to dictate illicit agendas, commanding from steel-reinforced thrones. The challenge now lies in preventing prisons from breeding the next generation of godfathers. Number 3. The life and criminal career of Cory C. Blaze Hamlet, the feared leader of New Jersey's Grape Street Crips. Newark, New Jersey, an urban labyrinth of hope and hardship where gangs carve out power in the shadows. Among them, the Grape Street Crips, a formidable local faction of the nationwide Crips movement. At the core of their reign stood one man, Cory Hamlet, known as C. Blaze, Blaze, and Castor Troy, a name that would send shockwaves through the streets. Born in Belleville and hardened in the corridors of Newark streets, Hamlet ascended to the leadership of the Grape Street Crips. Not just a boss, he was the architect of a multi-year wave of violence, trafficking, and fear. In November 2016, Hamlet and 13 associates faced a blockbuster 22-count RICO indictment. Authorities accused him of orchestrating 6 murders, multiple attempted murders, drug trafficking, firearms charges, extortion, robbery, and witness intimidation, all under his iron fist rule. 4 of those homicides occurred in just over 3 years. June 14, 2010, Leroy Simmons gunned down. December 23, 2010, Rodney Kearney killed. May 3, 2013, Tariq Johnson executed. November 12, 2013, Anwar West, an innocent peacemaker, massacred. Hamlet's team's brutality extended further. A horrifying chase on March 3, 2014, sparked by a feud with the Green family. Hamlet fired shots from a Jeep Cherokee, killing bystander Velma Cutino and passenger Wesley Childs in Green's vehicle. His courtroom presence was strikingly calm. In July 2018, after a grueling 2-month trial, Hamlet was found guilty on multiple racketeering and violent crime charges. The New Jersey DEA described him as the leader of the New Jersey set of the Grape Street Crips, who ran the gang even while incarcerated. Victims' families confronted him directly. One mother tearfully implored, "I hope the nights that you spend alone in your cell bring some justice to your heart." Echoing in the courtroom, her words exposed a community's trauma. Hamlet's defense painted a different picture, portraying him as a fall guy in a decentralized gang, arguing he never fired a weapon or personally committed violence. His lawyer likened his notoriety to a myth inflated by fear. But in September 2018, reality set in. U.S. District Judge Madeline Cox Arleo sentenced Hamlet to 2 concurrent life terms, plus an additional 35 years to be served consecutively. His empire was built on violence and control, extorting rivals, ordering hits, trafficking crack and heroin, and punishing suspected informants. Out of over 60 gang members arrested, 68 charged separately for drugs and intimidation. 66 have since been convicted. Yet Hamlet's case is more than just a criminal epic. It reflects how street gang culture, born in Los Angeles, seeped into New Jersey, organized enough to rival major drug lords, violent enough to terrorize entire neighborhoods. Now behind concrete walls for life, Cory C. Blaze Hamlet remains the symbol of a violent era. His downfall marked a major milestone in dismantling gang authority, but questions linger. How do we stop the next generation from filling the void? In Newark and across America, the echo of Hamlet's reign endures as a warning. Unchecked power, woven into the fabric of urban life, demands vigilant response. And for communities seeking peace, vigilance must never wane. Number 2. The life and rise of James Chance Burns, a notorious leader in the Aryan Brotherhood of Texas. Inside Texas's high-security prisons, where whispers carry far more weight than shouts, a name once inspired bone-deep fear. James Chance Burns. Nicknamed for the ominous tattoo on his throat, Last Chance, he became a senior major for the Aryan Brotherhood of Texas, overseeing the Dallas-Fort Worth region. Born into a world where white supremacist tattoos spoke volumes, Burns became a hardened enforcer. Guards observed a muscular, constant push-up routine. He's just all buffed up because all he does is do push-ups all day in his cell. But Burns wasn't just muscle. He was ruthlessness embodied. Known as Chance for issuing last-ditch warnings, he held absolute power. "By the time they send me to see you, it's your last chance," Burns told NPR. Burns's brutality etched itself into infamy in May 2010. He ordered a blowtorch to remove the sacred patch tattoo from Albert Sidetrack Parker, an act viewed as both punishment and humiliation within the gang. "That patch on his side, I burned it off. It stinks, your skin, it catches on fire, your grease in your body," Burns recounted. He bragged with chilling calm. "Yeah?" Smiling. "I burned it off." These acts were not sanctioned torture, but internal discipline, the very backbone of ABT's white supremacist creed. Burns's reign on the Texas prison yard came crashing down in July 2014. He pleaded guilty to racketeering alongside cohorts for a spree of murder, robbery, arson, kidnapping, narcotics, and violent discipline. The Department of Justice reported Burns from Dallas agreed to commit multiple acts of murder for the ABT. He received a 20-year federal sentence, though charges claimed life sentences were possible. Along with 73 brothers convicted, ABT's structure was shattered, but Burns remained defiant. Behind bars, Burns retains infamy. Locked down in administrative segregation, he remains tattooed from neck to toe in swastikas and SS lightning bolts. He was described as relaxed, wary, but undeniably powerful, even behind thick bars. But federal authorities claimed the Texas operations virtually ended, yet Burns dismissed that claim. "I do not think the ABT is finished," he told NPR, adding, "There are other people who will pop up as leaders." His tattoos, symbology of death and supremacy, served as his resume. The Last Chance ink marked him as judge, jury, executioner. ABT's creed, blood in, blood out. Initiation required violence, and departure, betrayal, was met with extreme retribution. Still, the fallout is complex. Local streets saw fewer ABT murders post-conviction, yet experts warn this is only temporary. The gang's ideology runs deep, fueling power vacuums where new leaders rise. ABT's reach, both prison and street, remains a threat. Today, James Chance Burns serves a long sentence, but his name still resonates. A symbol of raw violence and unyielding control, his story underscores a chilling truth. Prisons can nurture empires of hate and brutality. And while law enforcement may neutralize one leader, the Aryan Brotherhood's ideology persists, etched in skin, carried in memory, waiting in silence until another chance emerges. Number 1. The dramatic life of Juan Termite Romero, a former enforcer turned informant within the 18th Street Gang. Los Angeles, early 1990s, Westlake simmered with tension. Crack, cocaine, territorial gangs. At the heart of it all, the Columbia Lil Psychos, an 18th Street gang clique, enforced its will with brutal efficiency. And on the front lines stood Juan Termite Romero, enforcer, lieutenant, and one of the most feared young men in the city. Romero, known as Termite, operated under Godfather-level leadership. He worked alongside Ramiro Greedy Valerio and answered to Francisco Puppet Martinez in prison hierarchy. As second in command, Termite collected drug rent money from wholesale dealers and controlled street-level narcotics distribution around the Burlington Avenue apartment complex. In early 1993, when a new apartment manager threatened the gang's profits by locking out delivery dealers and tipping off police, Termite and Valerio saw red. Johanna Lopez, a dealer, warned them sales were collapsing. Romero provided the muscle. Valerio supplied the orders. Then, on May 3, 1993, tragedy struck. A blaze engulfed a 3-story apartment building. Smoke so thick victims felt like being underwater. 7 children and 3 women, 2 pregnant, perished. Witnesses later reported seeing Romero carrying a trash bag of accelerant. Moments later, he murmured, "We F it up." Despite the horror, justice was slow. Witnesses feared retaliation. One testified only after pleading guilty herself. Termite vanished, presumed dead or on the run, until resurfacing decades later. In 2002, Romero turned on his own. He testified in a federal racketeering case, revealing how he and Valerio murdered rival Truco and companion Donatella Contreras in 1994, and how they ran weekly extortion, collecting tens of thousands. He exposed deep links to the Mexican mafia and the Lil Psychos' structure, members paying rent, obeying shot callers, and enforcing loyalty with brutal violence. Romero entered witness protection, relocated, and stayed hidden for years until prosecutors reopened the 1993 fire case. In 2024, now 57, living under an alias, he was arrested and charged with 12 counts of murder. Court documents recount his rapid rise, supplying drugs, collecting rent, enforcing territory. He was puppet master and arsonist, yet also a survivor in a world built on fear. Now Romero stands trial for the death of innocents, children and women whose lives were extinguished to preserve gang income. Though decades have passed, the echoes of that fire still haunt Westlake. His turn as informant did bring down powerful figures, Valerio, Martinez, others, all imprisoned for racketeering and murder. Juan Termite. Romero's story is a study in duality, an insider who wielded violence brutally and later dismantled the same empire from within. A man who denied nothing, he helped break open a criminal ecosystem, yet he also sparked an inferno that took 10 lives. This case underscores a painful truth. Urban gangs don't just traffic drugs, they traffic terror. And while informants like Romero can bring justice, they can't always extinguish the fire they helped ignite. As Romero faces his day in court, Westlake watches, hoping the flames of the past can be extinguished at last.